There he is. Johnny Stanton, everyone. Hey, Johnny. Thanks for coming on and joining us, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. And, Steven, I'm Andy Lytle. That's Stephen Thomas, as you can see. Steve and I were talking, and I brought up, the theme since Andrew Berry became the general manager of the Cleveland Browns. There's been one constant theme: versatility. It seems to be a constant theme with players he's acquiring, drafting, etc. And you fit that bill 100%. You've shown it this preseason. You've shown it in camp. You were a college quarterback. Talk a little bit about that versatility and that transition from college QB to NFL fullback, tight end, H-back, linebacker, long snapper at your pro day. I mean, it goes on and on. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think you might have been one of the first people to get all of them, it sounds like. Playing quarterback in college was, my dream. I came out of high school as a quarterback. I got an offer as a safety, which I played a little bit in high school. But I wanted to play quarterback, so I, went to school for that. And when that wasn't an option at the school I went to, Nebraska, I transferred to play again, to play quarterback again. And finally, in my senior year, I'm not starter, and I kind of realized, I could have an ego about this. I could have this, I don't know, some sort of arrogance almost, and decide that, I could just say screw the team and say that I should be the quarterback, or I can get on the field and play. And I wanted to spend my senior year on the field as much as I could. That was kind of the start of my journey of around the football field, I guess. Just trying to learn whatever position I could.
Yeah, because I read an article from the ClevelandBrowns.com actually from last year, and they did mention at your pro day. That's how I can't take credit for it. I wish I would credit the writer, but it was a staff writer for ClevelandBrowns.com, and yeah, long snapper, linebacker. Wait, at your pro day, what are the positions that you tried out for everyone? I'll let you throw it out there.
Yeah, so it was quarterback, tight end, long snapper, linebacker. And that senior year, I played some linebacker, special teams. And when I tried out for Minnesota, it was as a tight end before they signed me as a fullback.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. No, I have your college stats up here across the 3 seasons at Nebraska and UNLV. I could not find your JUCO stats, you probably know those, but I couldn't find them. But across those 3 seasons, Johnny Stanton had 196 completions, over 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns. He also ran the ball 77 times for 327 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I was able to find, Ian, if we can go ahead and put the video clip up here. I've got it. We were able to find two touchdown throws of yours.
Yes.
From when you were at UNLV. And let's just this first one, man, you stood in and took a hit. Do you remember these plays?
This one, was this Jackson State? Yeah, it was. So this is my first game at UNLV. I think this might have been my 3rd touchdown of the game. And
that's a dart, man.
Look at that ball placement, man.
I got taken out at halftime that game. We had a good one. This one's my senior year. This was against BYU. I think it was the last game I played quarterback, actually.
Man, I'm telling you, those are darts.
That was a great ball, man.
And we'll let it run through one more time. This first one here, you stood in, took a wallop.
Look at the shot.
Yeah, I had to learn how to get hit somewhere.
Yeah.
So we wanted to throw that up for you. A little fun trip down memory lane there. That's the ball placement on that. It's just fantastic.
Beautiful.
We need to take these clips and show them to Baker and go and say, learn from this.
I think Baker could teach me a million things. Yeah.
That's
so
great.
Anyway, some people, I mentioned Andy Janovich because I have him in my notes here because everybody, it's no secret. You guys are the 2 fullbacks on the roster. So you're kind of in competition. And there's a lot of Browns fans that know that you were also together for that brief stint in Minnesota with Coach Stefanski.
In Nebraska, actually. Yeah. He was with me in Minnesota.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say a lot of Browns fans probably don't know you played together all the way back to Nebraska. So, but you weren't in competition. You weren't at the same position then, right? You were still a quarterback and he was a fullback at that time, correct?
Right. I was struggling to make my way up the ladder at quarterback while he was standing strong in the fullback position.
Right. So you guys are familiar with each other. I'm sure you give each other a hard time in the locker room. When the coaches came to you, because I know you said something about last week. I can't remember the exact quote that you'd played some tight end and H-back stuff before, but they said you're just going to be a tight end. I can't remember exactly how you phrased it. How exactly did that come about? Was it the injuries that led to that, and they said, "Hey, we think you can do this," or did you go to them and say, "Hey, I think I can step up and fill a hole for this team"?
I'm trying to remember the context for what you're saying with the Browns.
Yeah.
Yes, this week.
Yeah.
Or
So
last week.
this last week, with Hoop not playing, Harrison not playing, and with David not playing, we had Connor Davis and Jordan Franks, both guys very good at their position, and we already knew that Andy was going to play some in the first half. So the coaches gave me a warning. It's like, we know you played halfback last week. We want you to not only continue to keep up with that, but we also want to make sure that you kind of prepare a tight end. So while I didn't get many practice reps, especially because we were in competition so much with the Giants during practice, we played a lot of our starters during practice. I just had to basically learn on the fly and try to make sure that I got to be in whatever drills I could without missing time at fullback. And spend time with Coach Petzig over there with the tight ends, just to be able to learn whatever I could. And yeah, when it came to game time, they threw me in there in the second half, and I got lucky to be on a couple of good plays and went my way.
Yeah, and thanks to Ian, our producer, for throwing up this graphic. Stump Mitchell we got right there. What's it been like working with Stump since you got to Cleveland?
He's great. He's a staple within within our organization. He's, I think, the longest tenured coach. The running backs all love him. They've been with him for years now, and he's intense. He'll get after you. He'll also be able to have a laugh with you. He's a great coach that I'm really happy to be able to learn from.
Strong. Is the beard? Yeah. Is it even more glorious in person than it is on our screen?
It's even brighter white and just so majestic. Absolutely.
So that had to be something because, when you were in Minnesota and even when you joined the Browns last year, fullback was primarily what you have been used as at that point, right? And we saw you in preseason game number 1, not only playing a little fullback, you got some carries too, and it was a lot of fun to watch. Everyone likes to watch the big, strong guy run the football. What was your reaction when Coach Stefanski, I'm assuming, who came to you and said, "Hey, we need you at tight end this week for preseason game number 2"?
I want to get on the field as much as I can. There's not much way for me to make this team while standing on the sidelines. The more I have a chance to be on the field, the better opportunities I have. And I'm trying to do the most I can with opportunities that I'm given. We got another opportunity this week just to prove that I belong on this team, and we have a lot of really good players, and I know how hard that cut's going to be for a lot of us. And I'm hoping I'll be able to make it onto that 53, but it'll have to come after another third good preseason game. I haven't done enough yet. I have to make sure that I'm continuing to work and doing whatever the coaches want me to do, and to make sure that I'm prepared and executing.
Well, go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Just talking about, I mean, as a fan, you love to hear that attitude from guys on your favorite team. I just want to make the team. I just want to help any way I can. And for those of us who have been Browns fans for decades, the locker room, the attitude that emanates from this locker room last year, this year, is so vastly different than what we've seen for decades. It looks to us like everybody has bought into Kevin's mantra, want to know this week, just do your job, all the catchphrases that he says. From the inside, is it a different feel from other locker rooms that you've been in? Is it better, worse, or is this kind of the way you've always been around teams that had that same kind of attitude?
Yeah, I've had a very limited NFL experience. This is my second team. Obviously, like you said, I was with Minnesota, but I only got to spend so long there. I broke my ankle in the preseason there, and then next year I was there for 2 weeks with practice squad. But of the limited experience that I do have, and of the years of experience I do have in locker rooms of football teams, you obviously want to see the team buy in, because that shows you that we we have a leader that we are all rallying around, and that obviously leader is Coach Stefanski, along with the several leaders that we have amongst the team. We got Baker, we have Miles, we have Jarvis. We have really great leaders on this team, and it really does feel like we had a taste of success last year, and it's not nearly enough for any of us. But we do know that the path to success is led for us through those leaders, and if we are able to follow them and we're able to get our jobs done, then there's no telling where we'll go.
Yeah, and I love those answers, my friend. I love those answers. Holy smokes! Yeah, this is
questions from the chat. Go ahead, pop them in there.
Yeah,
we've got more questions, but if you have some good ones, here's one from the chat. When you were growing up, did you just play football, or were you a multi-sport guy when you were growing up?
I was a multi-sport guy. I got into football after quitting soccer after I think 5th grade. Baseball was always my favorite sport. I played basketball as well, but freshman year of high school was the first year that I tried to play. Obviously in high school, it was the first year that I played all 3 in a high school scenario where it's that kind of seriousness. I was never on like a club baseball team, or I played a little bit of club basketball. But once you get to high school, it's a whole nother level, especially with football. There's no upper level. There's no club, football level.
Right.
So when I got to that, you start off fall and you start even in the summer getting to learn more about your teammates and the kids that you're going to go to school with, the other freshmen. I started to fall even more in love with football than I had previously. And we had, some success that freshman year, and then you move on to another sport, which I think I only had like 2 or 3 teammates that played basketball with me. And then going into baseball, you're kind of broken up, and you're trying to keep those core guys together. But we had a fairly big school with a pretty good athletic program. So a lot of guys are kind of specialty athletes, and it was mainly during that spring that I realized, there's a lot of stuff going on in football that I'm missing. There's weight training, there's spring ball, there's 7-on-7 tournaments that I'm not getting to work at. And I want to play quarterback. And there are 2 guys in the quarterback position who are 2 years older than me that, I was hoping to be able to start this year, or the next year, my sophomore year. So that was actually the last year I played baseball. I still love it. I'm a huge Dodger fan. Sorry, Indians fans, but
that's okay. I lived in LA for 15 years. I'm from Northeast Ohio originally, but so I got a little Dodger love in me.
Yeah, no. I still have a lot of love of baseball in my heart. A lot of love for basketball as well. Even though I was a undersized, rebounding power forward.
Hey, Charles Barkley was only like 6'5", 6'6". A lot of people don't realize that. It's true.
It was. I love being able to get back to it when I can. But obviously, football is the one that really took over and really took my heart.
Right on.
Well, there's a lot of discussion about that. I'm sure, you probably try to block out a lot of media, but you can't block it all out. There's a lot of discussion over, kids specializing too early these days, and should they play multiple sports or should they not, and all that kind of stuff. Do you think your time as a multi-sport athlete, even though it ended after your freshman year, do you think that ultimately helped you get to where you are today?
Yeah, without the really specific training that I had, getting ready for pro day or in college and all that kind of stuff, I really felt like I was at my quickest without having to really train for it when I was playing basketball. And it's for obvious reasons. Your basketball quickness is key. It's really the thing that allows you to become one of the top players on the court. And that's just one example of the many skills that you can develop across playing several different sports. I think you get an eye for strategy as a baseball player. I think you just develop a toughness for other sports when you're playing football, amongst several other tough sports.
Sure.
Personally, I think that playing multiple sports for as long as possible is the best way to do it. Not everybody gets to be the Russell Wilsons, the Jameis Winstons of the world who get to play, really high level multiple sports. Kyler Murray, obviously. So at some point, I did as well. Like, you have to choose what sport you're going to be in. But I think high school is probably the best time to do that. I don't think, as long as you're loving it, I don't think there's any reason to stop playing different sports until, halfway through high school or so.
Sure.
Now, I've got a question for you about fullback in the modern NFL. But since we've been talking about high school here, I have to ask you this. I came across this nugget. I'm sorry, you're probably tired of it. In high schools, you got nicknamed Johnny Tebow. Now,
Yeah.
where did that come about, and how did that happen? Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, it's not much of a secret that I was probably running through guys more than around guys in high school.
Right.
As a dual threat quarterback, I wasn't amongst the guys who ran a 4.5 in the 40. Tebow was big time when I was in high school and middle school and stuff. And going to like a Catholic school where it kind of had the same sort of themes where I tried to emulate him as best I could on the football field. And I ended up getting that nickname amongst some of my classmates on the field. And it was actually pretty cool. Last week I got to meet him for the first time.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I told him, when I tore my ACL in high school, my senior year, going through rehab, I ended up getting a postcard from his foundation that was written by him. And basically saying, keep your head up, keep working and get better. And I let him know, like, you don't remember this, you don't remember me, but I just want to say thank you for this little thing that you did for me, 10 years ago. So that was cool to be able to meet him finally.
That's a cool story. Steven, I think you had a question about fullback.
Yeah. And everybody knows the rules have changed over the last 8-10 years pretty drastically to favor the offense in the NFL. It's more spread out. There's more of, what years ago would have been called college offenses. It really is no different, not that much different anymore. And so there are some people out there that wonder about the future of the fullback in this league. What is it like? What do you think the role of the fullback is, not only on this team specifically? We know Kevin likes the fullback, but in the modern NFL, and do you see it changing, and do you see your path changing at all over the next 5 years, 10 years, as far as the NFL?
Yeah, it's a good question. As someone who's fairly new to the position, or only in the last 4 years, I don't know how if I can be an expert at necessarily answering that. But in my own opinion, I think there's a path to success for the fullback position, if that's a thing, for both being the traditional, hard-nosed downhill fullback, while also being more of the versatile, athletic fullback. Like, kind of, if there's two different paths, which I don't think that necessarily has to be. I'm trying to be both.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you consider it more of like a fullback versus like an H-back, I think there's a way to be really good in this league at being both. Watching film throughout the week, you see great fullbacks around the league who are, just really giving it to the linebackers and DNs and safeties of the world.
Right.
And then you see guys who are making plays, downfield and, catching balls out of the backfield. And, like I said, I want to be both. I want to be both the guy who is, the defense fears hitting, and the guy who's able to run, 10 yards after the catch.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know I was about to finish. It's just, I think that they're becoming a better athlete is obviously what everybody on the field wants to be able to do. And there are, athletes have become more advanced and more athletic, I guess, in the last 50 years or so. Mm-hmm. And as long as that path keeps moving forward, fullbacks will obviously have to, follow that path as well, just as receivers do, just as running backs do, just as quarterbacks do. I don't think it's necessarily as dire for the fullback position as it might sound, even though there's like less than half of the NFL teams that carry one.
Sure.
So I guess a follow-up would be, do you consider yourself more of a traditional fullback or more of an H-back, like you said, or do you really think, hey, I'm a guy that can do whatever you want between those two positions?
Yeah, like I said, I think the fullback position has to try to do both, and that's I want to be able to do both. I want to be able to be the guy who is able to go down on a lead block and try to pancake the other guy. But I want to be able to help the team in the pass game as well. Sure. So I'd say right now I'm doing my best to develop both parts of my game.
And you brought up athleticism, and it was right on cue in this this past weekend's preseason game. General Manager Andrew Barry was in the booth, and there you were, right on cue in the slot. Ran a great route, created separation, made a great catch, man. So, what did that feel like? That play in particular, I'm sure you remember what play I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How'd that feel, man?
It felt great. I was honestly pretty tired after catching a ball on that previous play.
Sure.
And then getting the call in the huddle for the next play. And it's like, okay, well, I now have to run a seam route. I better recover quickly. And then, they gave you have to, for a seam route, you got to check out how many safeties there are. And we knew that the Giants like to move their safeties around a lot. I found out that it was one high. So I'm trying to keep it, just inside the numbers. Was knocked off my route just a little bit, but tried to recover from it. And obviously Kyle found me just at the top of the numbers and for a nice little gain.
Yeah, it was so funny because it was right on cue, and Andrew Barry was giving you praise, and then bam, there you are, great catch, great separation. It was perfect. Here's a question we've all been waiting for: best burger you've had in the land since you've been around, man.
I saw that pop up on the screen, and I was nervous about answering because there's only so many places that I've been able to go to with the pandemic happening.
Right.
I don't think there's necessarily a burger specific place that I've been to in the land yet. In terms of like sandwich style things or like kind of burger adjacent, there's some really good stuff over at Ninja City and at Gordon Square in Ohio City. They have these like kind of hot bun kind of I forget the name of them, but it's very good. Anything over there is very good. That's one of my favorite spots. Sounds
delicious. Well, we've gone over a little bit. If you don't mind, I'd like to keep you for just a couple more minutes. One thing I wanted to talk about before you got out of here, and honestly, I mentioned it when I DM'd you this morning on Twitter. I noticed that you were part of a cause in June with Athlete Allies, and you ran a campaign playing for Pride. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. When I broke my ankle in 2018, I was sent home to recover, kind of just do physical therapy on my own and fill up the rest of my time however I wanted to. And I realized that I want to make sure that I'm making the most out of basically this whole year that I have off. So I got involved with a couple different foundations. The first one is the Jesse Reese Foundation, which I had used for my My Cause, My Cleats last year. They were a family who was I actually had never met them before, but they actually went to my high school. They were very involved with the swim team over there. And they, through the course of their family history, they got involved with pediatric cancer care. And sending toys to courageous kids who are battling pediatric cancer. That's something I became very passionate about. And I kind of decided, though, that why stop at one thing to be passionate about and to try to support. And that's when I realized, there's not a whole lot of football players who are active allies to the LGBTQ community. Mm-hmm. And that was something that I wanted to, hopefully be the start of that change.
Sure.
So I've attached my name to that, and it's something that I'm absolutely 100% supportive and want to be. I want to be very visual and vocal about that support, just because just doing that makes a difference. Showing that there are allies and there are people who are supportive of you in different communities can make a big difference.
Yeah, especially for the younger kids, especially for teenagers who often feel, isolated and alone, regardless of their personal situation, but especially in that situation, just knowing that there's somebody out there like them that they can talk to. That's a great cause. And I'm
absolutely.
And you make a great point. It's LGBTQ youth drop out of sports at, I think, over twice the rate that any other youth does. So it's something that is very sad that there's a whole portion of our population who feels like it's not that sports itself isn't something that they feel safe in. So I want anyone who wants to play their favorite sport to be able to feel comfortable doing so.
Absolutely. And honestly, athletes like yourself being outspoken about it and supporting those causes. It really does go a long way. And even current NFL player and former Cleveland Brown Carl Nassib coming out recently. I think things like that. I hope more things like that happen, because
it makes a difference.
It really does, and it takes a lot of courage for Carl to do what he did. And honestly, it shows a lot about your character, that you support these causes and you're outspoken about these causes. And I just think that's wonderful, man. And honestly, as obviously we asked you to come on this show because you've been flashing at camp and preseason. But what sealed it for me is when I read your pin tweet. I was like, okay, this dude is cool. I like this guy. So, and we appreciate you, man. We really, truly do.
So to wrap it up, getting back to football here,
Yep.
I'm saying 17-0, and the offense averages 42 points a game. Am I undershooting that? I mean, tell us from the inside. Am I too low on those?
We have a very explosive offense and a stout defense. We're looking really good at practice, and I'm not going to say any numbers, but I'm very excited for the season.
I mean, we're excited. No pressure. I'm sure you already know. I mean, this is the most anticipated season for Browns fans since probably 1988. I'm just throwing a year out. That's how long it's been. It hasn't been great for the organization and Browns fans for the last 20, 21 years or so. But it's great that this turnaround is happening. And on behalf of myself, on behalf of Browns fans and the OBR, want to wish you a best of luck this season, a best of health, and truly, truly appreciate you coming on, my friend.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome,
Welcome
man.
back anytime, and kick some butt on Sunday, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny.
Johnny Stanton, everybody. Browns fullback,
Wow.
H-back, tight end, probably backup long snapper, emergency quarterback. He probably fills the water. He can fix your pads. He mows the grass.
And
Dude does everything.
And his biceps are bigger than yours.